whilst we sleep, whilst we do whatever it is we do, go about our normal businesses and the things we carry out every other day, there are men and women right at the front lines facing terrorists, insurgents, fighting criminals night and day. And so January the 15th in Nigeria, for our international audience, we dedicate it to remembering and honoring and celebrating these men and women. And that's why we're having this conversation on Armed Forces Remembrance Day. We've been joined in the program by Director of Veterans Affairs, Major General Ibrahim Salihu. General Salihu, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good morning, Jeffrey.
It's good to have you on the program, and thank you for your service, and we thank the military for their service. But this is a ritual every other day for many decades now. For you who has been in service, on behalf of the service that you're speaking right now, and the veterans, what comes to mind whenever this day comes?
Good morning, Jeffrey. Thank you for inviting me once more, and good morning, Nigerians. Before even this day, celebration starts before the January the 15th. And you have sober reflections of your colleagues that you have lost while in the battle area. And so many other veterans that we have lost years back. Please, let me take you back to the issue of this celebration. It's beyond just the issue of those who died within the country. We are talking about even the First World War. That is when the poppy, which is here, it came into use. And then instead of 11 November, we are now using the 15th of January for our celebration peculiar to Nigeria all after independence and the issue of the civil war that we had. So, of course, nostalgia when you remember some of the colleagues you are with in the battlefront, that you have lost them and you have lost them forever. And of course, they must have left a lot of people behind, wives, children, fathers, and brothers. So it sometimes brings sober reflection, but at the same time, give us hope that the citizens actually care about us.
So I want to find out sometimes what is because it's not a line of work that is easy. That's why we say the men are gallant, the men are brave, because not everybody can do it or everybody's willing. What drives the willingness from where you sit to be able to say, I want to take this line of work? Because today is about you, gentlemen and ladies, or men and women of the armed forces. What gives that motivation? What is it that is that driving force to say, I don't want to go to this, quote, I know no work is easy, but less risky jobs. I want to do this for the sake of my country in a time where patriotism may be very low.
Jeffrey, you have used one of the words, patriotism. Patriotism towards your nation, ab initio from your wish to join the military. There are some that you offer them this and they don't even take it. There are some, even their parents want them to be there and they don't want to be there. So it's all about patriotism and sacrifice for a nation. Because our job is all about sacrifice from day one. There are people who have moved from training areas straight to battlefield. And I'll draw inference from the cosmates of the Chief of Defense Staff, General C.G. Musa. A lot of them passed out from the Nigerian Defense Academy straight to Liberia. And that's why a lot of them were lost. So also soldiers that left depot straight to the northeast to fight insurgency. Of course, not all of them will come back. You know you are joining a profession that is highly risky and that death is coming at any time because you are trying to kill the adversary is trying to get to you. So the force is about patriotism and that you wish to sacrifice for your country. Ab initio, immediately you enter the service, is what you want to do. You want to sacrifice your life for the country. If you survive till dates, then you thank God. But you remember that there are others that have laid their life. So it's a very high risky job. We're not saying it's better than any other job. Every job has its own hazards. But this is high risky job. And that is why globally the military is being celebrated by various countries across the world.
And you know, that is very heartwarming to know that, you know, some will still prioritize patriotism to serve country above every other interest, despite the fact that, you know, the other fields can be more rewarding in terms of you know, finances. So that's heartwarming and a good example to follow. Speaking of finances, we're very concerned about what our military servicemen across board go home with. These men have families, and sometime last year, perhaps towards the end of the first quarter, the CDS was concerned about the remuneration for his men, and he told us, you know, with privileged information, that they go home with 50,000 naira. We understand that it has been increased to about 100,000 naira, but the question is, has it been implemented? And if it has been implemented, I want you to tell us, sir, that is it satisfactory, you know, and is it commensurate with the amount of work that our servicemen putting to defend the territorial integrity of the country?
Bukola, when you come to remuneration, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that is equivalent to sacrifice. I sit here talking to you, I have physical permanent injury. No, Nigeria cannot pay me for that. There are people who have lost their limbs. Nigeria cannot pay for that. And that is why that aspect of sacrifice come into being. Because you can't pay for the blood that people have spilled. You can't pay because those dependents that they have left, you have left them with heavy burden. So we are not talking about the monetary issue of the sacrifice. That is why it is called sacrifice, and that is why it's patriotism. So you are serving for the little that the country will give you. We are not saying that an increment will not be good for everybody, but that it is not the focus. The CDS is saying that because of the changing times of the economic development of the country, because we go to the same market with every Nigerian citizen, and as such, our troops need to have enough to be able to feed, because they are not being fed freely. They are only taking ration when they are in the battlefield. But they leave their families have to feed. And they have to also take care of other demands at home. Of course, you know the kind of society we are. We have extended families that depends also on you, that you need to also take care of. But it is not the focus of a soldier. Anyone who comes to this service because of that will definitely leave halfway. And we have had such kind of people. So the money is not actually the drive, and that is why I say it's patriotism and sacrifice. But it is also necessary that the citizens knows the kind of sacrifice our men and officers are giving to the country, so that they appreciate what they do. I think the soldiers appreciate whatever little thing you do to him. So the CDS is right to push for such increment, and also some other increment in future, and also for what is documented in the books to be implemented in terms of increment, not only for those serving, also for our colleagues, veterans who have served and they are alive today to witness this celebration. If you think about them and their remuneration is looked at intervals as is shown in the books, I'm sure there will not be the kind of protest we are seeing. I saw in the blueprint where they are saying the protest of the veterans should not be allowed to foster. And that is just the right thing. It doesn't happen anywhere in the globe. People will raise issues on remuneration everywhere in the world, but not to the extent where you allow military men to come and demonstrate. So it is a key issue that must be seen by each and every citizen of this country and by those in government. Good governance, so that everybody will be willing to serve, because, you know, like I said, you cannot pay for a military service. It's just the simplicity. You cannot pay for it.
So I'd like you to push this further, because I don't think we will have done justice, at least for the veterans, if we don't give them some sort of closure, particularly those the former CDS talked about. And yes, the statement you referred to was made by former CDS General Rabo. So where are we with the payments of the entitlements to these veterans, some of whom we saw protesting? And, you know, it's just an irony for people that we trusted with the security of lives of millions of Nigerians. They literally held the lives of Nigerians in their hands. And they finish from service, they go back home, and the same Nigeria, or at least the system that is meant to take care of them, appears to abandon them, the same system that they were protecting. So I'd like you to speak to us about where are we now with the payment of the entitlement in terms of percentage. Are we 50% done? Because I know the president also stepped in at some point. Are we 50% done, 80%? Where are we, General?
Okay, like I said, on the issue of remuneration, and you see, on the issue of remuneration and the issue of protest, in the last protest that they had before, when the Minister of Finance came and spoke to them, it's about promise that we're going to pay you this 50%. We're going to pay you so period. And that is why sometimes it is necessary that when you speak exactly what you do. It is better you tell somebody that I'm going to pay you in the next 3 months than I say, okay, I'm going to pay you in the next 1 week, and actually I'm not saying the right thing. And if there is any infraction that stops you from doing that payment, you also have to also inform them in a good time. My last discussion with the head of the Military Pension Board, he said he received some funds for the payment based on that discussion they had during the protest, because he was there when the minister was talking. And the disbursement is an issue, and other entitlements, and they're talking about other palliatives. So the issue is about several other palliatives that are also supposed to be given to the veterans. When something is promised, you do it. And to go ahead on this aspect, I would say the First Lady, between December 2023 and December 2024, I think has expended over 3 billion naira in taking care of veterans and widows of veterans in terms of the issuance of palliative. Those are the kinds of narrative we want to give. The issue of remuneration shouldn't be an issue that will put our veterans in harm's way for them to be on the street protesting. It shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't allow those kind of things to happen, especially when you have a military pension board. So it's advisable that those who are saddled with the responsibility of taking care of this aspect look into it tenaciously and ensure that such payments are disbursed at the right time. Because the argument was that letters was not received when I listened to that protest. And my discussion with the head of the MPB told me he has sent a letter 2 weeks before that time. So you can do a lot of things, because for every infraction in any system, somebody must be held responsible, because everybody on the line of duty knows what he's supposed to do at a particular time. So beyond the issue of remuneration, which is not supposed to be at all a subject of discussion, because if you talk about something that is budgeted, something that is planned, you know the number of people you are paying, it shouldn't be a case of discussion leading to our veterans, both young and old, to be on the street. You know, some of them are aged, some of them are beyond 70, some of them are 80.
Right, General.
So it's not good for them to be on the street.
So do we have an idea, just as some sort of closure now, do we have an idea when they will be paid, or if this is being looked into? Because as you said now, promises were made and not fulfilled. And you can imagine if you have to receive an end. So do we have a definitive time, or how well are discussions on to ensure that this is done?
Kayode, if I tell you I am not interacting with the Minister of Finance, my line of discussion is with the head of the MPB, and I wouldn't want to say anything that would touch on my honor integrity that I've built for over 3 decades. I am saying, based on what I've discussed with him, I cannot give you a definitive date of when those little funds and palliatives are supposed to be given to this veteran. I am just emphasizing that there is a need to do a lot to ensure that this thing is not done. So I can't give you any definitive date on the payment, because the definitive date means that that thing will be paid at that period. I'm not in control. I'm not even in touch with the man who is in actually control. I'm in touch with the man who will disburse when he's released to him.
So that's the Ministry of Finance.
My line of action.
That's the Ministry of Finance that is in charge of this, General, if I'm correct.
Good.
Oh,
yes.
So Ministry of Finance.
Because they're the one who disburses your money.
Right. Jeffrey.
Yes.
All right, General, let's talk
the one
about...
who disbursed the money to military pension board. Military pension board also now share the money to the respective veterans.
All right, it's important. That's why we're raising this conversation on a day like this. As many things as we can open up, we'll open up so that action will be taken. But let's talk about military-civilian relationship. Sometimes it's quite frosty. Sometimes we've seen this thing happen even between military and government. For instance, the incidents of accidental bombings and killings and all of that occurred. There's this back and forth. So at the end of the day, if we're not careful, it affects the ability of citizens and civilians to be able to support our armed forces to do their work more effectively. That the CDS has always said they need the civilians, they need the people to be able to do this work effectively. So in going forward, because we're looking for progress now, in going forward, how would you describe what should be the best way to enrich military-civilian relationship, given some of these things that have happened in recent past?
Yeah, the civil-military relationship is key to our job. And the Chief of Defense Staff vision is one of the things you have said regarding people-centric nature of his vision, and that whatever you are doing, if you don't have the buy-in of the citizenry, you are heading nowhere, because they are actually the judge of whatever you do. They are the ones who make commentaries, they are the ones who see. And if you find out, virtually in all the service headquarters, Army, Navy, and Air Force, and even defense headquarters, there are departments of civil-military relations headed by two-star generals. And this is one of the ways where the armed forces is ensuring that whatever they are doing is in tandem with the aspirations and expectation of the citizenry. And a lot of other quick impact projects have been taken. I speak with you here. While I was in the Army headquarters, my fund was given to me to go to my community to do a CIMIC project for the benefit of my people. And so many other military officers were given such funds to do it in their community, so that they impact directly from where they come from, or where they have lived their life and where they want to situate such projects. So we are not different from the people. We are not different from the people. We came from the civil society and we are going back to the civil society. Nobody is born a military man. You are born somewhere in one corner of this country and you decide to come and join this military, and you will go back to that corner of that country or any other place you decide to stay. So a lot is been done by the armed forces to ensure that that kind of relationship is fostered between the military and the civil populace. You cannot have a system with multitude of people without having an infringement. Infringement is part of the issue, but understanding and discussion about it is another thing, and that is what we should be talking about. You cannot have a system, or you cannot have an institution that has zero level of infringement in terms of people's rights and the rest of them. And of course, that is why we are human beings. So there are limitations to us, because we're also human beings like every other Nigerian citizen. But to tell you the effort that is being done by the armed forces is there, black and white, that virtually all the services have the department to foster this kind of relationship and undertake projects to impact. Even troops that are even on mission, they also veer off their operational duties to ensure they win the hands and minds of the citizens in where they are operating. So that is the aspect, and that's why you see the military is doing virtually everything. Every little thing you see the military doing, it is because we are performing our secondary role in support of the civil populace, in support of the civil authority. So on the course of doing that, there is a lot that has been done. Even when the battlefield, we do that. If we have done that outside this country, why can't we do that in our country?
A lot to chew on there, Major General Salihu. But let's speak to something related, which should also ensure the efficacy of the work of the military in enhancing civil-military relations. to also reduce, Jeffrey's reference to the concern about accidental bombings, which is the level of fortification for our servicemen who are at the battlefront. I'd like you to speak to how protected they are, because we hear time and again about soldiers killed at the battlefront. Just 8 days ago, 6 soldiers were killed in the north. Do they have bulletproof vests? It's been 12 years of insurgency. Do our soldiers have something as simple as bulletproof vests? What kind of artillery do they have that can serve as a backup in case there are attacks that can protect them? I'd like you to speak to this very important issue.
Now, Bukola, you are coming into the field of force protections in the field. There is no soldier, and that's why every commander will ensure that his soldier is kitted up properly with his helmet, with his jacket to protect him. But you should know that we will not wear armor to cover all part of our body. That is just the issue. You can't wear armor to cover all part of your body. You will be protected, especially from chest down to your waist, and of course your head, because you are wearing a helmet. But are you wearing a fragment jacket from your waist downward? No, you are not wearing a jacket from your waist downward. You are not wearing a jacket from your shoulder to your fingertips. So sometimes also, and that is why I would say it's a very high risky job. You see that, you said you want to do the work. So, and that is why I said, these are the little things we should look at to appreciate what these soldiers, what these young officers are doing in the field. Because you can't have armor all over you. Sharpness can cause death. The bullet, as small as it is, can cause death. And it depends on where it hits you. And that is the issue. The issue of kitting has been in the priority of all the service chiefs. All the service chiefs, including the chief of defense staff. And the emphasis for people not to be carried away in terms of gallantry, not to wear them, is also being emphasized. So the idea is that the man is protected to an extent, but he was also exposed to danger because he cannot wear armor to cover 100% of his body.
All right, Major General Moss, thank you so much. Quite a conversation we've had with you, and we will continue to appreciate the servicemen and women for what they are doing for our country. Major General Ibrahim Salihu is Director, Veteran Affairs. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, Jeffrey.